Hello, my name is Professor Cal Baldari, and I'll be sharing some time with you for the next 10 weeks in HUM110 Principle of Ethics. There's a couple of ways that we can look at ethics. First, we can think of ethics in the typical sense, what you might consider if someone were to ask you what your ethics were on the street. Basically, those are ethics that are the rules that we live our lives by. Good ethics lead to good lives, and bad ethics lead to wicked lives, or evil lives, or bad lives. But we could also look at ethics as a line of philosophical inquiry. In this case, ethics becomes the systems and procedures by which you make decisions about how to live the best possible life, how you treat and manage other people, and how you achieve happiness and success in life. It's the second way that we will focus on in the class. We will look at several systems that have been proposed to help us navigate this complex social world that we live in here, and hopefully find one of these methods that will help us lead the best possible lives that we can. Now, I'd like to run through a few administrative aspects of the course that will be very helpful for you to know. Some of them will be absolutely imperative. So first and foremost, the class runs from Monday at midnight all the way through Sunday just before midnight. So you basically have 7 full days to do your work. Some of the work has different due dates, so pay attention to that. We'll talk about that in a second. And our time will always be in Eastern Standard Time. The classes run out of Virginia. It's just the vast majority of our online students are on the Eastern Seaboard, but by all means, if you are not on Eastern Time, please let me know via email so we can try to work around your schedules. You'll find the syllabus linked just below the news forum. You should familiarize yourself with the contents of the syllabus. The grading scheme and the various topics of conversation will all be in there. Included also will be some policies and procedures for Stratford University that are pretty important. My contact information is in there, as is my office, if you ever should need to join us. You'll find the rubrics, the grading rubrics, under the Start Here banner on the front page. You should know your rubrics. Your grade depends on it. There are 2 rubrics, one for the discussions and one for the reflective journals. Get to know both of them. They are very important. Now, what do you need to succeed in this class? Let me just make a few things very clear. First and foremost, the interactive modules only run in Mozilla Firefox. It's the only one that will work. It's a pain. If you don't have Mozilla on your computer, it's a free program. You can go and pull it down. It's fairly easy. It's pretty light. It's very secure. So you shouldn't have any problems with it. It can be troublesome if you already have several browsers on your computer. So usually it's best to clear a couple of those off if you're not using all of them, and make sure that you have Firefox as your primary. That said, even with Firefox, sometimes the interactive modules will kind of glitch and freak out a little bit. If you have a problem with an interactive module in your computer and you're using Mozilla Firefox, please right away contact the Moodle help so that they can get you straightened out. The sooner you get it done, the more likely it is that you'll be able to do your work within the week and it not cause you any trouble. But that said, if for some reason you're not able to get a hold of Interact, oh, and by the way, if you contact Moodle help over an issue having to do with your interactive modules, please let me know via email as quickly as possible so that I can kind of put you on pause. Occasionally, though, the interactive module, no matter what you do, will grade you as a 0 for the interactive module. Take a quick screenshot of the completion screen of the interactive module and shoot that to me via email. To print the screen, there should be a button on your keyboard that says print screen. Just click that. All you got to do is hit the button and then open up a Word document. From there, control with the paste function, and it'll drop the picture right there into the Word document, and you can send it to me that way. Very easy to do that. There are easier ways, or I should say smaller ways to make it a little less bandwidth, but I'll leave that to those of you that are experts. That said, this is one of the ways that I record your attendance, so it's very important that you go into the interactive module, you run it all the way through completely, and you check your grade. If your grade is a 0, if it's recorded as a 0, not if it's blank, but if it's a 0, let me know right away so I can go in and fix it. That's when I need that screenshot. This is 100 points a week for going in and viewing these interactive modules. They're fairly simple. It's an absolute waste to not get full points every week for your interactive modules. They take anywhere from 5 to 8 minutes per week. It's very easy, and it's everything that you need to know to complete the interactive modules, or to complete the discussion and the reflective journals. So get in there, do them. You can do them early, but if you get too far ahead of yourself, you're going to end up having to do them again to refresh your memory when you get to the actual lesson. So try not to work too far ahead, but you can. It's okay. If you do work ahead, then there will have to be some other method that you use to show attendance for that particular week. That shouldn't be a big problem. If you know for a fact, if you've done them ahead of time, and you know for a fact that you're going to be in attendance, shoot me an email, let me know. Hey, I already finished the interactive modules, so could you please record my attendance for this week? And you'll be fine. So that's 100 points a week. I should start by saying that the course itself, over the course of 10 weeks, is 3,000 points. So if the interactive modules are 100 points a week, that's 1,000 of your 3,000 points, is a third of your grade. So just going in and watching the lessons is a third of your grade. It's basically your attendance grade. So don't miss those. It's such a waste to not get full points on those. Next, in both importance and timeliness, is the discussions. Discussions are 3-part assignments. The discussion prompt will be in the discussion section of your weekly assignments. Now you'll notice that the discussion that's given to you in the interactive module and the discussion prompt that I've given you in the discussion block will be slightly different. You need to get through the interactive module first, and then you're going to be answering my prompt, not the prompt in the interactive module. Don't ignore it, but it's not the one that you're worried about. You're going to be more worried about what I've asked. Okay, so you need to follow the rubric 300 words for your initial post. Your initial post needs to be finished and complete and posted by midnight, just before midnight on Wednesday. That gives two to three more days for everyone to respond and reply to your initial posts. So that means that for every week, either you need to work ahead or you have about 3 days to go in and get your interactive or your discussion posted. Don't let that slide. The most important thing about the discussion is that it cannot be made up. So there's no makeup policy for a discussion. If you miss it, you miss it. It's done. That's worth 70 points per week. Now, each student has to reply to 2 separate inquiries. Now, those inquiries can be on someone else's post, or if I've posted a challenge to something that you've posted, then one of your responses needs to be to my challenge. Those are not uncommon, but they're not super common. So if I don't challenge you, that doesn't necessarily mean that you nailed it, so pay attention to other people's posts. I will usually only challenge if there's a mistake that seems to be common, I'll challenge one person on that same mistake, and I expect everyone is reading everyone's posts and that you'll see where the challenge has been made. You can respond to my challenges on other people's posts, especially if it's something that you're interested in, or you can respond directly to someone's posts. You have to do 2 of those at a minimum. You can do more if you would like, but at a minimum of 2, each worth 15 points apiece per week. So that's a grand total of 100 points per week for the discussion for 3 total posts. The rubric will give you everything that you need to know about what is expected of you within the posts, how they need to be written, and what kind of styles to use, what references you need to put. If you post after Wednesday, your grade will reduce by on that particular interactive module, or in that particular discussion, will reduce by 5 points per day. So it's worth 70 points by Wednesday, Thursday 65, Friday 60, so on and so forth. After Sunday, they're worth 0, and you can't make them up. So get your discussions done. If you do nothing else in a week, get your discussions done, just because you can't ever make those up. All right. Finally, we get to the interactive, or the reflective journal. The reflective journal is your writing task for the week. It's 500 words. Let me emphasize that. 500 words, not 498 words, not 499 words. 500 words per week. 100 words per day for 5 days. You will have 5 separate prompts. Now, I'm not super strict about each day being the 100 words, as long as your final work at the end of the week is 500 words. A significant portion of your grade that you get for each reflective journal is based on your word count. And it's simple. It's as simple as this. There is simply no way to convey a complex thought in under 100 words, and it have all the nuance that you need to be able to show. 500 words is the absolute minimum, and even that is shady. If you can do more, do more. I'm happy to read 1,000 words. I don't think I've ever gotten anything over 1,500, but it has happened. That's fine. That's fine. Make them as full and as complete as you need to in order to show understanding. But otherwise, read the rubric, and it will tell you what is expected of you on the reflective journals. But let me emphasize again, that word count is absolutely the minimum. So nothing under 500 words if you want full points. It's that simple. If you do these 3 things every week before the end of the week on Sunday, then you're going to ace this class. You're going to do very, very well. The discussions that we have in the discussion section and the grade that you will get on your reflective journal will show you if you're kind of getting it. All right? But really where you're going to find understanding, where you're really going to find instruction, is in the live sessions. I do a live session every week on the Sunday prior to the course week. So that gives us a chance to jump into the subject and for you to hear some commentary on it and a lecture on it before you have to jump into the actual events in the actual interactive module. So it's important. It's not mandatory. You do not have to come to the live sessions. But if you do not come to the live sessions, then there will be posted recordings of the live sessions. Go in and watch those as soon as you possibly can. You will get so much more information and do so much better on the course. Finally, very important that you become very familiar with the news forum. I use the news forum for any announcements or important pieces of information that you need to know for the entire course. So get into the news forum at least once or twice a week, or anytime that you get an email from me that shows that it's coming from the forum. Go in and check it, and if you have any questions, send me a quick email and I'll take care of you. All right, so the attendance policy for Stratford University's online campus is fairly simple. At least once a week, you need to complete that week's interactive module, or complete that week's discussion forum, or complete that week's reflective journal, or attend a live session. Any of those will count you as being present. Of course, if you're going to do one of them, you might as well do all of them. It's not that hard. These courses, or these assignments, are so much easier to do if you just do them in succession and you keep up with the current week. It becomes a very easy class to get through. The concepts can be a little tough to get your head wrapped around. So staying on top of them allows you plenty of time to ask questions, to interact with your fellow classmates in the discussion forums, and so on and so forth. So keep up is the best advice I can give you. Just keep up. If you just log into Moodle and view the course material, you don't count as being present. You have to actually have completed an assignment. 3 consecutive absences, and you are automatically dropped from the course. So be careful. Don't miss classes if you can absolutely avoid it. All right, so the late policy for this course and most of the courses that you will take at Stratford is fairly liberal. I don't recommend you exercise it all the time for some fairly obvious reasons. So the late discussion postings I've already discussed. They're not, you can't make those up. So there's no late policy for discussions. And the reason is fairly simple. If you post a discussion late, then nobody has an opportunity to read it. You're not discussing, you're just shouting into the wind. So in order to be a part of the discussion, you need to post in the week that everybody is discussing it. So there's no late policy for discussions. That means that you could fundamentally lose 1,000 points from this course by not doing the discussions, and there's no way to make that up. So be very careful about the discussions. Everything else can be turned in a bit late. The late policy is fairly simple. If you miss it by a day, and that means if you post at 12:04 Monday morning, or whatever, any time after midnight on Monday, 5% is dropped from the grade. Now that's 5%, not 5 points, 5%. So if you would have gotten 100, you'll get 95. If you would have gotten 50, you'll get even less, so on and so forth. So 5%. That's if you're a day. That's if it's that following day. So that's fairly generous. 5% for one day. If you're a little behind, that's usually fairly livable. The second day, that means Tuesday morning at midnight, through 7 days, so basically that course week, that's minus 20%. So if you would have gotten 100, now you've got 80, so on and so forth. So be very careful about not missing. Anything over 7 days is 50% of the grade, whatever you would have gotten. So not a good policy to try and save up a bunch of work and then try to do it all at once towards the end of the course. Trust me, it has never worked out well. So yes, that policy is there. If you missed something early on in the course and you can go back and do it later, it's better than nothing. But if you count on that as your method of getting your assignments in, you will fail. So don't do that. All right, so this leads me to, just as an aside, there is a plagiarism policy for the university that you do need to pay attention to. That will be detailed in the syllabus. So please go and look at the plagiarism procedures in the syllabus and make sure that if you're going to cut and paste something from the internet, if you're going to borrow from a book or an article, make sure you cite your sources, make sure you put it in quotation marks, and know that those citations and tidbits don't count towards your word count. So be careful with that kind of stuff. If you are going to borrow something from the internet and you are going to cite it, make sure you cite it using either APA, which is the university standard, or MLA. I'm fine with that as long as you're using some kind of style guide. But APA is the preferred procedure for Stratford University. Now, there's something very important about this class that's a little different than perhaps some other classes that you've taken at university. Ethics is a dangerous topic. People don't like having their beliefs challenged, and this class is very much about challenging your beliefs. A lot of times, the reason we don't like having our beliefs challenged is because it's hard. Other times, it's because we don't really know where those beliefs come from, or if we do know where those beliefs come from, we don't like having lights shown on them and having to explain. Those kinds of things can be difficult, but that's what this class is all about. It's finding the root of those beliefs. So, it is incredibly important that you use this course to challenge yourself, to challenge your beliefs, and to look at why you believe the way that you do, alter those things that don't fit the way that you believe, or that are broken, or that are hollow or empty, and replace those with something that's more robust and useful. Now, in that project, there's bound to be missteps. If you're challenging a belief and you're trying to replace it with something that is more robust, you might select a new belief that's even worse than your old one because you're just trying it out. You're just checking it out. This is the place to test it. Test it in the discussion forum. Test it in your reflective journals. See how it feels. Sometimes you're going to make a misstep. Sometimes that's not going to work out well. When that happens, it's very important that everybody in this class understand that you're not tied to that. Just because you've made a commitment to a belief in the class doesn't mean that you have to be rigidly stuck with that belief. You can change that belief later after you've kind of discovered that there's maybe something wrong with it, or maybe that it's hollow, or maybe that it doesn't fit a new belief system. If that be the case, adjust your position and feel confident that doing so is the right thing to do. Don't feel like you are obligated to stick with something that you've said simply because you've said it. That's not the kind of class this is. This is not a place where you come in and you have your internal integrity tested. That's not what this is about. This is about testing your beliefs, making sure that your beliefs are examined and that they're robust and well-founded. And sometimes that requires some effort and some time and some work. And with work comes mistakes, and with mistakes comes learning and taking a step back. That means being respectful to other people. That means being respectful to yourself. It means taking responsibility and taking responsibility for helping others. All right? This is, to use the PC term, this is a safe place for that, right? This is a safe place for you to be able to challenge your beliefs. If you can't do it here, you can't do it anywhere. This is the place. So take the time, take the effort. Do not feel like you are being held to the fire on it. Try some things out. Sometimes you might say something that sounds just completely outlandish to you, just to kind of see how it sounds, just to kind of see how it feels. It might seem really crazy, but once you say it out loud, you're like, wow, that actually makes a lot of sense. Or you might realize just how crazy it sounds and take a step back, right? So show some respect for everybody in the class. That is absolutely fundamental. You will fail this class. I will remove you from the class if you are disrespectful to your fellow classmates. This is just not the place where you can count on people to or I should say this is the place where you can count on people, should be the place where you can count on people to help you and to help you move forward. So that's all I have to say for this portion of the welcome. The live sessions will be similar to this, only there will be a place for you to chat, and we'll have everybody's images and cameras up. If you have a camera, that's fine. If you don't have a camera, That's okay. It's preferred, though, for these live discussions, it's preferred that you have a camera because it's easier. It's easier to talk to someone whose face you can see, whose expressions, whose tone, all of those things matter. So if you've got a camera, you might as well use it. There's no judgment here about how messy your house is or whether the live sessions are fairly late in the evening if you're on the East Coast. So some people might be in their pajamas. So what? Who cares? Let's have a conversation. It'll be fine. But there will be a place for your picture. There'll be a place where you can type into chats, but voice is definitely preferred. There will be a section with notes, discussion notes. You can always go back and look at the recordings if you need to get those discussion notes again. But that said, probably best to take those notes down. And there will be every week when you come into the live session a quick question, a poll question that I'd like you to answer. And that's kind of how I use live sessions for attendance. If you don't do the other stuff, at least you can get attendance through the live session that way. All right. Well, I look forward to working with everyone, and let's have a great term.